Atlanta, LA. Someone, baby, keep on a rockin' me, baby. Keep on a rockin' me, baby. Keep on a rockin' me, baby. Keep on a rockin' me, rockin' me.
I can still remember how that music used to make me smile. And I knew if I had my chance that I could make those people dance, and maybe they'd be happy for a while. But February made me shiver with every paper I delivered. Bad news on the doorstep. I couldn't take one more step. I can't remember if I cried when I read about his little bride. Something touched me deep inside today.
The music died.
So bye, Miss American Pie. Drove my Chevy to the levee, but couldn't let it was dry. Then good old boys were drinking whiskey and pie. Saying this will be the day that I die. This will be the day that I die.
Hello, my early birds. We'll get started in just a little bit. It's just now 6:48. So grab your beverage, chillax a little bit. A little closer to 7, we'll get started.
The music Miss American Pie. Drove my Chevy to the levee, but the levee was dry. Then good old boys were drinking whiskey and wine, saying this will be the day that I die. This will be the day that I die. Now 10 years we've been alone, and lost those that are rolling stone, but that's not how it used to be. When the Jesse sang for the king and queen in the coat, he borrowed from James Dean and a voice that came from you. And while the king was looking down, the jester stole his 40 crown. The courtroom was adjourned.
Hello, my early birds. I love watching you over there on the screen. Kelsey, what's in the cup, honey? Good things in there? Yeah. Yeah. It's going to be a good night, right? All right. So everybody, it's going to be a good fat 10, maybe 15 minutes before we get started. Make sure and check out the chat feature. I have the links there where you can donate to the studio. And then I also have a list of all the supplies there. So you can see what we're going to need for the night. Tonight's very loosey-goosey. We'll see what happens. I'm going rogue a little bit, I think. I'll talk to you about that in a minute. But think about, you need black for sure. You need white for sure. You need something to make flesh color. That's what we're going to use the burnt sienna for. The burnt sienna is a very reddish brown. Tiny bit of this with white, that'll give you a nice flesh color. So everything else is negotiable. So we'll get started in about 10, 12, 13 and a half minutes, something like that. All right?
And I asked her for some happy news. She just smiled and turned away. I went down to the sacred store where I heard music years before. But the man there said the music wouldn't play. In the streets, the children scream, the lovers cried and folks dreamed. Not a word was spoken. The church bells are broken, and the three men loved the most, the Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost. They caught the last train for the coast. The day the news died, and they were singing, bye, bye, Miss America. Rode the Chevy to the levee, but the levee was dry. And the low boys were drinking whiskey and rye, singing this will be the day. This will be the day. They were singing, bye, bye, Miss American Pie. Drove the Chevy to the levee, but the levee was dry. Them good old boys were drinking whiskey and rye, singing this will be the day.
Hello, everyone. I see we're all getting settled in, checking you out over there on the gallery view. So we still have a good 5 minutes or so before we get started. Looks like we're going to be a small crew tonight, which is fantastic, right? Big class, small class, doesn't matter to me. I get to paint, and I get to paint with you guys. So let's give it another good 5 minutes. So make sure and check out the chat feature. I have listed out links where you can donate to the studio. You can copy and paste those, both Venmo and PayPal. It's the donations that's keeping the studio alive right now, so I thank you all for that. And there's also a list of supplies that you need for tonight. Tonight's pretty loosey-goosey, right? Color is entirely up to you. What you need for sure, you need black, you need white, and you're going to need a little bit of reddish brown, a little bit of burnt sienna. Other than that, it's all negotiable. We'll see what happens. Okay, so let's give it, it's 6:57, oh, 6:58, 7:03. Let's check back in, and I think we'll get started then. Well, be sure if you have any questions, pop them in the chat feature. I'm monitoring that tonight, okay? Oh my God, is that my Angie and Tawny? I see you, girls. Are you painting or are you just chilling out? Do you have your supplies? I have you muted. You can't unmute, but you can type it in the chat. Or are you guys just hanging out drinking? Yes! All right, everybody, this is your 1 minute warning. So grab your beverage, settle in, get ready to get started. Make sure you have a paint shirt or an apron on. Check out the chat feature over at the side bottom, wherever it is in Zoom. And I have a couple addresses where you can donate to the studio, the Venmo link, the PayPal, copy and paste those so you have those. And then a list of supplies that you need for tonight. So this is your 1 minute warning. Let's get ready and get started. All right, everyone. Hello. Give me a thumbs up so I know you can hear me. Awesome. 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 Thank you. So super excited to be here tonight. And we're a small crew, which is fine with me, right? I get to paint, so life is good. Thank you all for joining me this evening. Tonight's painting is going to be pretty loosey-goosey. We're going to see what happens. Let's talk a little bit about it. So our chickie in the bathtub, I've had people ask me what color her hair should be and what color her towel should be. So I think that's all perspective. Do you think she has her hair up in a bun? Or do you think it's a towel like wrapped up on her head? That's entirely up to you. It's your painting, right? I might move mine up a little bit too so I can see like little claw feet on the bathtub. I might do that. I like the idea of that. At the very end, I'm gonna go completely rogue because I'm a water baby. So she's gonna have like Ursula octopus tentacles hanging out of the bathtub. You know I love octopus, right? I've said that before. So I think that's gonna happen. I think it would be fun if you did a mermaid fin that looks like it's flopping out the end of the bathtub. So there's so much we can do with this painting. We're just gonna have fun tonight. We're gonna see what happens. But if we were at the studio, let's run through our supply list first. Let's make sure we have everything we need. So we have an inspiration picture. We'll set that to the side. Make sure you have a paint apron or an old t-shirt. The paint that I'm using, and probably the paint you're using as well, is acrylic paint, water-based, water-soluble. If you get it on your clothes and it dries, it's a real bear to get out. So that's why we always make sure we have something messy on, just in case, because paint flings occasionally. Canvas. So the canvases that I use are 16 by 20 stretch canvases. I feel like I'm hunching to stay in the screen. Let me try and adjust this real quick. This is where things go wrong, right? This is where I lose you all because I try to adjust. Oh, a little better. Oh, that's better. Let's move this up. Now we're getting fancy. Okay, so the canvases that I use are 16 by 20 stretched primed canvases. That means they're primed with gesso. It's something you want to look for if you're buying your own supplies, and make sure they're stapled on the back. A lot of inexpensive, a lot of cheaper canvases, they are stapled on the sides. Not a fan of that. but that's entirely up to you. That's just what I look for when I'm shopping. So canvas, I will try to remind you to paint the edges of your canvas too. It's easier to paint your edges as you go than it is to try to paint them later. So I'll try and remind you, but we all know I am crap at trying to remember to paint my edges. But I always try, so that's all we can ask for. So apron, paint, shirt, canvas, water, half a cup of water, right? Doesn't need to be full. And make sure your water in your cup is always cool or cold, never hot. I feel like y'all have been with me so long now, you could probably give this speech, but I feel like I have to do it anyway. Paper towels, make sure you have some paper towels to blot your brushes off on. Brushes for tonight. You need some kind of a big background brush. If you got brushes from the studio, you might want to use these three. So your big oval wash brush, your biggest brush you have, some kind of a medium-ish brush, and then a pointy brush. The one I'm in love with is my number 5, my small round number 5, and the number's on the handle. I will probably move on to this big background brush just because I love it. It's been through some stuff with me. I love the way it feels, so I'll probably use this one. When you're not using your brushes, remember they live in your water cup. So pop them in your water cup, leave them there. We won't leave them there for days. I've had people say to me that it's not good to leave your brushes in water like this. It's not for a long period of time, but I would much rather have my brushes in here so they don't lay dried out and get dried out paint in them, which is kind of a hassle to get out. So just for the class, I'll leave them in here. Then a little tip, when you go to wash your brushes at the end of the night, you will take that brush under warm water, right? Warm, you can use soapy water if you want, dish soap, warm soapy water. Do this under the running water until it runs clear off your hand. Then reshape your brush and leave it lay flat to dry. Never store your brushes upright while you're waiting for them to dry, because the water and whatever paint residue is left winds up down in here in the bezel, in this metal or plastic part, and it'll start to separate your brush, and your brush will get all funky and splayed out. So make sure you reshape it, leave it lay flat until it's dry on some paper towels. Little tip there for you. Okay, so other things that you might have. I have a paint marker. I always keep a paint marker. I usually sign my painting with a paint marker, so I've got that. I got a little bit of magic glitter. What does my friend call it? Satan dust. I have a little bit of Satan dust there. It's all contained though. If you're going to use glitter and you have not used glitter before, remember glitter sticks where paint is wet. Glitter sticks everywhere paint is wet. So I was thinking about if I were going to use glitter on this painting, it might be lovely on the bubbles. We'll do that very last, right? We'll do the glitter on the bubbles very last if that's what you're going to do. We'll make sure everything's dry, even the bubbles. Make sure the bubbles are dry. And then what if you go back, figure out where your light's coming from. This painting doesn't really have a light side, but I'm going to say top, what is that, top, from this direction. I can't think backwards. From this direction. So on this bubble, if I did a little swoosh of white, a little swoosh of white on all my bubbles, and I put glitter there, I would have just that highlight of glitter on those bubbles. Okay, something to ponder, something to think about. Paint. So paint is really negotiable tonight. What you need for sure, you need a decent amount of white. You need black, because we're going to use that for the tub, for the shading. You need a little bit of burnt sienna, a little, that's way too much. You need just a tiny, tiny bit. It's a very reddish brown. That's how I'm going to make flesh color. If I mix the tiniest bit of that with some white, it gives me a lovely flesh color. And then I have other colors I'm going to play with. So think about your background first. If that's what you're going to, if, I shouldn't say if, because that's what we're going to do. But think about your background first. Mine's going to be a lovely lime green because I'm hanging this in my bathroom. So I'm going to work on that first. We want it to be nice and bright and light here in the middle. and then get a little darker out toward the edges, and then really darker down at the bottom. That'll help set her down. That'll help set that tub down if we stay darker down here around the bottom. Okay, so before we get started, a couple real quick reminders. Not reminders, statements. I don't know. I'm a little loopy tonight. So, which is no different than any other night if you've been with me, right? This is normal. Okay, so thank you so much to everyone that has donated to the studio. You're what's helping keep the studio alive until this whole pandemic situation is over, which Lord knows when that'll be, but we'll continue to do this. And then even when it's safe to gather back in the studio again, we'll continue to do this. I have my tech guys working on internet at the studio and cameras at the studio, so super excited about that. So we'll keep doing this. If you need supplies, please message me. I'm happy to get you supplies. We're gonna keep the, ooh. So Lynn just messaged she doesn't have burnt sienna. If you don't have burnt sienna, do some mixing on your plate. Use white for sure, a lot of white, and maybe a tiny, tiny bit of red and a tiny, tiny bit of brown. It's really what burnt sienna is reddish brown. So you're gonna have to do some mixing to get the right red and the right brown, but a lot of white. Hope that helps. So until we can all get back together at the studio, we'll keep doing this. Even after that, we'll keep doing this. I have supplies that I can still offer in the back cabinet. I still have aprons. I still have those available for $12 each. So just let me know if you need an apron. And that's it. Let's do this. Let's get started. So again, we're gonna paint background first, okay? I'm gonna start nice and bright in the middle, and then I'm gonna get darker as I work out to the edge. And I think the brush stroke I'm gonna use on this is very aggressive X's, I think, because I'm in a very aggressive mood, evidently. Find your biggest brush in your water cup. Find that biggest brush. You're gonna wanna squish it around. I'm tapping it in the bottom of the cup. I wanna soften it up a little bit because I use this brush a lot, so he might have paint residue left over in him. Oh, something I forgot to mention. I am recording tonight, so my gentle reminder to you is if your painting isn't going well, maybe it's not your night, and that's okay, right? That happens to me all the time. I'll get halfway through a painting and just mental block or get frustrated if it's not working out. And if I try to force myself to continue to paint, it all goes downhill. So my gentle reminder to you is if it starts to make you crazy, it's not what it's about, right? Painting should be relaxing and it should be fun and it should be social. If that's not happening, put your stuff down, walk away from it. I am recording tonight and I will get it posted up on YouTube, depending on my internet speed at home. I will get it posted up late tonight or tomorrow morning, so you can watch it on YouTube and you can pick right back up where you left off, okay? So I'm tapping my brush in there. I'm gonna dry it off on my paper towel. Now remember, anytime you take paint, you never go in the middle of the pile. We always go in the edge. So my background, I'm going lime green because we all know I love lime green, right? So I'm gonna take a lot of white to start. And for lime green, I'm gonna mix a tiny bit of yellow and a tiny bit of green. Lot of white to start though, because I want this to be nice and bright behind her. Okay, and I'm gonna do, just some big fun X's. I'm gonna go this way for a while, and then this way for a while, and this way for a while. Now you can blend that out and make it as smooth as you want, or you can leave it where you can see those individual colors in there. That's entirely up to you. Art's one of those things that's really funny to teach because I can teach you techniques, but it really is up to you, right? That's the beauty of it. So I said nice and light in the middle, And then I'm going to work up from there, and I want to get darker. So less white, more color, whatever your chosen color is. So I'm going to take a little more green, a little more yellow. And remember, acrylic paint blends while it's wet. Once it's dry, it will not blend. Okay. Everybody breathe. This is my gentle reminder to you. Don't hold it in, let it all out. I recognize that I have a lot of you out of your comfort zone, and that's okay. Right? That's how we learn and grow. Edges, don't forget your edges. Ooh, I am loving this background, you guys. That hatch mark, that cross, it's very messy, and I really like it. So I think as we're painting our background, I think I mentioned earlier that I'm going to go rogue. I'm super excited about that. Is that weird? I'm giving her tentacles like Ursula. She's going to have tentacles at the very end hanging out of the bathtub. And since we've already talked about glitter, I do believe the suckers on her tentacles, the circles on her tentacles, I think that's where the glitter goes. Because what sea witch wouldn't have glitter on her tentacles? Seriously. So you'll notice I'm staying at the top portion of my painting right now, because then when I start to work my way down and around, I want to get a lot darker. Again, the dark at the bottom is what's going to set it down. And darker, I might use black to darken it. I'm not sure yet. I might just use green. We'll see. That's something we always have to think about, what color we use for darkening, because the black, it sometimes, well, not sometimes, it always has an undercurrent of color. So the black that we use, Mars Black from Blick, it's Blick Student Acrylic. The Mars Black that we use has a reddish undertone to it. Knowing that in my brain, I know I have to be careful if I'm going to mix it with green, because red and green are opposites on the color wheel. If we mix opposites on the color wheel, we get poof. So I have to be really careful thinking about how I'm going to darken this. I might use, instead of black, I might use this really dark blue, this dark phthalo blue. We'll see. I'm not sure yet. Edges, don't forget your edges. Ooh, I started to lose my white, so I got a little more back in there in the middle. Ooh, I like it. So I'm interested to hear if anybody else is going rogue tonight. You'll have to let me know what you're going to do. You don't have to go rogue, right? You can follow the painting the way it is, because the beauty of this is it's going to be exactly you, uniquely you. Okay, I'm starting to get down toward that bottom. So now I'm going to get it, going to start to go darker. And again, I don't know that I'm going to use black. I think I'm going to go to blue. See what happens. Oh yeah. Uh-huh. Yep, I like the blue, the green and the blue down there. That's nice. That's going to give me a really dark aqua turquoisey kind of feel, which goes right along with my water, with my octopus, with everything I'm trying to pull off tonight. So Jessica, I just saw your comment. You're doing rubber ducks. Are you not doing a woman at all? No, just ducks. That's awesome. That's fantastic. The joy of painting, right? You can make it whatever you want it to be. Woo, my transition here is a little rough. Oh my God, your dog in the bathtub. Now that you know how to paint a dog, right, Mandy? You can follow along with our dog lesson. I was getting ready to say my transition here is kind of rough because this middle started to dry. I'm not worried about it because my tub will be there. My tub's going to cover that, right? So I'm not going to let it bother me. I'm just going to move right on. Unflappable. That should all be our word for 2020, shouldn't it? It should be unflappable. I think by now, with the whole pandemic, we are unflappable, right? We've all been through quite a bit in 2020. Okay, so this side, by the time I got over here, started to dry. So I could go back to a little bit of white, a little yellow, see if I can get a little more blend. And again, this middle section that's really messy for me, not worried about it. Not worried in the least, because that's where my tub is going to go. Jessica, by the way, I love that you have a rubber ducky bathroom. That makes me so happy. Okay. Edges, again, don't forget your edges. So I'm going to pick mine up. Check, make sure I've got all my edges covered. Oh, I'm so bad at painting edges. That's okay. We'll take this moment to do that. This is one of those paintings. I know where I'm gonna hang it already in my bathroom, and it's gonna get hung up really high above my door. So I know I have to get that bottom edge really, really well. I normally wouldn't pay too much attention to the bottom edge of a painting, but based on where this is gonna hang, ooh, I gotta make sure that's taken care of. Here we go. All righty. Don't forget, when you're done, pop your brush in your water cup. Okay, we don't want it to dry out. Head up and hang it. Ooh, colors. Make me happy. Okay. All righty. So I see everybody's still working on their backgrounds. Let's take another, I'm gonna say 15 minutes because we're gonna want that to dry, okay? So let's make sure we get the whole background covered. Make sure that you're changing the angle that you're looking at your painting. Lean it forward, lean it back. You want to make sure that you don't have any canvas weave showing through, right? No speckles showing through. The minute I walked over to the other side of my painting to check that edge, I could see I had speckles. So I had to get back in there and play a little bit. So it's 7:30. At 7:45, we'll move on. So take this opportunity, get some, I'm trying to think of what we're going to do next. I think we're going to put the line for the tub, the top line where the tub's going to go. We're going to want that white. So we're going to want to make sure our background's dry. And then I'm going to work on my lady. I'm going to work on her body. So probably if I were you, I would get, once you're done with your background, clean water, clean brushes, clean white, blow dry your background. Let's do those things in the next 15 minutes. 7:45, we'll come back together. We'll start to lay the tub out there, our lady on there. We'll go from there. Okay, so 7:45, 15 minutes, clean water, clean brushes, clean white, dry canvas. All right. Remember, if you have any questions, pop it in the chat feature. I'm trying to monitor it, so I'm keeping an eye over there. Okay. I just have to say, I love that I have some people that log on with me every week, and they don't paint what we paint. They're here just to hang out, to have like-minded souls. So one of my people, you know who you are. I got to see what you're painting. Right, you know. Let me see. Flip it around. Let me see how it's going. Dude, hang on. Let me make you big. Dude, that's good stuff. Are you going to put your clouds in? You dry brush them in when that's dry a little bit? Yeah? Wait, let me see the pyramids again. right? With the sponge, right? Yeah, that's good stuff. Well done. Okay, I'm gonna step away and go rinse my brushes out and get clean water because I don't want my lady to turn green. I don't know, that might not be bad, right? She is a sea witch after all. Um, yep, so I'm gonna go rinse out. Make sure cool or cold water, never hot. Oh, hang on, Jeannie. Let me read that again. As well. What can I do? What can I do other than red and white? It's not pink enough. If a color is not enough of something, I always think about stepping to the left or the right on the color wheel. So you could try to add more red first to see if that gets it pink enough. It all depends on the red you're using too. Because if you go yellow, it's going to start to get kind of corally. If you go to the other side of red with blue, it's going to start to get a little purpley. I would say just more red, less white. Now, so you're not mixing a whole big pile of stuff on your plate, I would pull just the tiniest bit of pink that you've already mixed. Ooh, smidge of blue. That'll make it a little purple, but don't try to mix a whole big puddle because you're going to end up with a ton of paint that you may not use. Just pull a little bit of that paint you've already mixed over to the middle of your plate and play with it. In the edge of it, put a little blue. In the edge of it, put a little more red and play with it that way. Yeah, that's a struggle if you're not getting the right pink you want because it's red and white. It might have to do with the red that you're using. I think pink hair has I would go a little blue. I feel like pink hair always has that little bit of purpley undertone to it, depending on your natural hair color underneath it. There's a color, again, depending on what kind of paint you're using. Blick Student Acrylic, there's a color, magenta is what they call it. I always think of magenta as a real dark, almost maroonish red, but the magenta that they have, I wish I had it here to show you. The magenta that they have is a real bright, pretty pinky color that I think you might dig. Okay, I gotta go rinse out. Okay, 10 minutes. 10 minutes, we'll come back together. 7:45. Clean water, clean brushes, clean white, dry canvas. And this is good timing because my mister just got home. So I'm gonna go check in with him. I will see y'all back here in 10 minutes. Oh, good girl. Like a champ. Like a champ. All right, 7 minutes. I'm checking in. Everybody's still just working away. All right, 7 minutes. Again, 7:45. We'll all check back in. Okay. So I'm going to disappear and blow dry my canvas. So I'll be back. And then there's my mister. Hi, Anne. Your head's cut off. Lean down. There he is.
Cut off.
Your head was a little cut off.
That'll happen. That'll happen. Yeah.
I know we've talked about this before. I feel compelled to say it again. Depending on humidity, temperature, that paint does weird things, right? Depending on your environment. I went into dry mine because I used a lot of paint on my canvas. Already dry. So weird. But 6 minutes. 6 minutes. This is why we wear old paint clothes, right? Paint goes in just random places. Who knows? Okay, this is your 2-minute warning. 2 minutes, we'll move on. Make sure your canvas is dry. Make sure, excuse me, make sure you have clean water, clean brushes, clean white, okay? In 2 minutes, we'll move on. I filled it earlier. Sunshine coming in is, there we go. Yeah, it comes in that crack right there.
Oh, yeah. Water in your cup.
Fill her up, sir. Thank you. Okay, 1 more minute. What you want? Okay. I know, Emily. He's pretty good, right? He's a keeper. Because he knows I'm really bad about drinking my water. So he's like, do you need to fill up? Yes, honey. Right? That means we're lucky ladies, right? Okay. So let's talk a little bit about how we're going to do this. I really want to do the lady first because wherever her body, I'm trying to think how to explain this. I want to put the lady on there first because I'm going to fill her in with that flesh color. But then you can hear me, right, Marie? Okay, thank you. But then I can use the edge of the tub to clean her up. Does that make sense? I'm hoping that makes sense. But I have to put the edge of the tub in first so I know where my lady should be. So I think the way I'm going to tackle this, I'm going to put in just the top line of that tub so I know where my lady should be. Then I can paint my lady. I can paint her neck and shoulders and her hand. And then I can come back down here and work on my tub. That seems a little convoluted. Oh, peach for skin color. So I'm going to use this reddish brown, this burnt sienna, a tiny, tiny, tiny bit of that, and a lot of white, a lot of clean white. If you don't have that, you might use a tiny bit of red and a tiny, tiny bit of brown, because that's going to get you that reddish brown, right? And a lot of white. So to accomplish that, I'm going to use a clean, medium, oh, not yet. I got ahead of myself. I need to put the edge of the tub on there first. Got ahead of myself. So I'm going to use a medium brush. And the edge of that tub, if I split this painting, it appears to be almost exactly halfway. So the bottom half of the painting is tub. The top half of the painting is her and the bubbles. And that comes over about a hand width from each side. That tub's going to be pretty big. So let's put that top edge of the tub. That's going to help us build. We'll build from there. So I have a medium-ish brush. And what did we say? Halfway. And make sure you're using a very gentle curve. Not super curve, but just a real gentle curve. And I'm sorry, for me to get this right, I have to stand in front. Maybe if I come over here, that'll help. So I'm gonna find halfway. I wanna go a big fat hand in on each side. Right about there. I feel like if I do dots, that might help me. So I do one there. Halfway, big fat hand in. Right about there. And then a very gentle smile to connect those. Here we go. Now I know from there down is going to be tub. From there up is going to be milady. So now let's talk skin color. I'm going to take, I have some clean white right there. I'm going to take the tiniest bit of that reddish brown, teeny tiny bit, and start to mix it right there in the edge of that white. And that's going to give me a lovely pale skin tone. Now, the more of that reddish brown you use, the darker tan she's going to be. If you're doing something different, if you're doing, like Mandy said, she's going to do her dog, you could start to paint your dog on there. Jessica, you could start to work on your rubber duckies, okay? Because I'm gonna put my lady in here, and then I'm gonna move down here and start to put the tub in while that first level of my lady is drying, while that skin color is drying, okay? So I'm just doing some mixing over here. Again, if you don't have flesh color, try white, tiny bit of red, tiny bit of brown. We're not gonna see much of her flesh color. I'm gonna start right here with kind of a neck. The towel or hair might cover it, but then I'm gonna give her shoulders. Okay, we're not gonna see much of this, but we need the idea of her neck and shoulders. And I'm just filling that in. Now, Jessica, for your rubber duckies, don't forget to add white to your yellow, right? The yellow by itself isn't enough. Same for you, Mandy, based on whatever color dog you're doing. If you're doing the black dog, just use the black. But if you're doing the beige colored dog, remember, you did that white first and then started to get the color on top of it. There we go. I have neck and shoulders. I think I'm going to let that dry. I might give that another coat. But I'm going to go ahead and put her hand on there. And I might fix it later, but it'll give me an idea of where it's going to be. It's going to be right here by her shoulder. It's going to be her thumb holding the glass. And then her hand is going to scoop out here. I'm going to fix that later. Okay, it looks a little weird right now. It looks a little claw-like. But I know where it belongs. I'm going to put the glass in there, and then I'll put the hand back over the glass later. But it helps me map it all out in my brain that this is where this is all going to live. And this is where I remind myself, I'm like, man, I'm not sure how I feel about that hand, that arm. We'll put bubbles all over it, right? It's a bubble bath. But that gives me some idea of where I'm going. Okay, I'm gonna mix a little more of that color and give that a second coat for shoulders and for neck and shoulders. There we go. So let's take another couple minutes, right? Make sure we've got that that neck and shoulders in there. The idea of where the hand is going to belong. We give that a minute to dry, and then I'm going to come down here and start working on my tub. And I think I said it at the beginning, I might see if I can get little claw feet in there. So I might not take my tub all the way to the bottom. We'll see. We'll see what happens. It's all negotiable right now. So a few more minutes. Make sure you have clean white for the next step. It's funny, Emily, you commented and said such service because you got my water. Such service. He stopped and picked up my favorite potato salad for dinner because it's so freaking hot. I haven't felt like eating anything. So he stopped and got me my favorite potato salad. The keeper. I know, right? He's a keeper. Meyer has this potato salad it's called deviled egg potato salad. It's really good. And they have just little containers of it so you don't sit and eat the whole vat of potato salad. Okay. Ooh, they do. They have very good salsa. Do you eat like the salsa that's on the shelf or the salsa that's up in the deli section? I eat the I guess it's not salsa, pico that they have up in the deli section. Ooh. Oh yeah, I eat the shelf stuff too. My husband and I actually we have this running joke. This is going to go really deep, so stick with me. Conspiracy Theory. It's an older movie, not super old. I want to say 80s or 90s with Mel Gibson, and he's all about conspiracy theories. And every time he sees a copy of The Catcher in the Rye, he has to buy it. It's like he can't not buy it. It's a thing. So my husband has this thing with spicy brown mustard. For whatever reason, spicy brown mustard. So anytime we're at the store, he has to buy spicy brown mustard. We must have like 8 or 9 containers of it in the cupboard. But the problem is, if we see it and we don't pick it up, what if we get home and we don't have spicy brown mustard, right? I have that same issue with salsa. So I probably have 4 things of salsa in the cupboard right now because I eat salsa with everything. Because we have the chickens, so we eat eggs a lot. I love a little bit of salsa with my eggs, a little bit of cheese, a little salsa. So yeah, it's salsa and pickles. Yeah, I'm probably the same way with, not as bad with pickles, but yeah, salsa and spicy brown mustard. It's one of those things, if we died like in a freak accident and somebody had to come in and clean out our house, they'd be like, what the hell was going on there? And butter. I can't make it through class without bringing up butter. Okay, my special butter. All right, so let's move on, shall we? So I'm not going to worry too much about this because that's all going to be covered in bubbles and things later. Be careful if that's wet right there along the edge because you don't want to turn with mustard. Oh, that is the sweetest thing ever. If you did not see it, you have to look at Jeannie's comment. Oh, wife is obsessed with mustard and picked up mustard when you travel. I love that. That makes me happy. You know what? That's a good idea for Christmas for my husband. I bet you could order like mustard. I bet it was super heavy. I bet you could order like mustards of the world. You all just made my holiday shopping super easy. Thanks, Jeannie. Appreciate it. Okay. I'm going to, I think I'm going to go to a big brush. The ease with which I switched from mustard back to brush, was that frightening for anybody? No? Okay. So I'm going to start with white. Let's put the edge of this tub in. Let's talk about the tub. So the top edge of that tub, because the big old clawfoot tub, right, the edges of it rolled over. So let's put that on there. And it's going to be, I want to say 3-ish fingers high, something like that. And then the bottom base. And this one just sits right on the ground. Again, I'm not sure if I'm going to sit mine on the ground. I'm going to take my big brush with some clean white. And I think I'm going to sketch it out. So I'm going to have this part that's a big fat three fingers. And the most important thing to remember is as you fill this in, all of your brush strokes follow that very first gentle smile. Okay, so let's put this in. Everything has that gentle smile. So this top is going to be pretty darn white. And this is, we're going to be careful, make sure your stuff here is dry. If it's not, if your flesh color or your dog or whatever you have there, your duckies, if they're not dry, stay away from that for now. But mine is dry, so I can get right up there. And I'm using that smile brush stroke, right? Very gentle smile. Okay. Now, when I get ready to move on, I'm going to sketch it in white first. So I'm going to come in a little bit. And again, for me to get this right, I'm going to have to come and stand in front of it. So I apologize for that. Trying to decide how I feel about claw feet there. I'm going to leave them for now. Not completely sold on them, but I'm going to leave them for now. Okay, so let's fill that in with white, and then we'll start adding some dark. Let's start with white. Those nice, big, sweeping smile brush strokes. I'm using my big brush. Sorry about that, Kelsey. I'm just using my big brush. That sunlight just keeps following us. There we go. So I'm filling that in with white for now. Big brush, side to side smile. Now we're going to get ready here in a minute and start to add tiny bits of black for some shading. And the thing to remember is tiny, tiny bits of black. It's going to be real powerful. I think I'm going to go back up to this top again and give her another, give that another coat around that top rim. Another bright coat of white. Okay. So now I am not rinsing out my brush. I'm taking more white and the tiniest bit of black. Like I'm just going to creep it in there because that black's going to get real powerful real fast. Just going to creep it in that edge a little. Just the tiniest bit to start. I can always add more, but once I have too much on there, it's tough to overcome. I go right up under the lip of the tub. Stay with that same big smile brush stroke. Okay, big smile brush stroke. And I'm using my brush. I didn't realize I was doing it until I just did it. I'm using my brush skinny ways, not fat ways. I'm using it skinny ways when I shush that black in there. Because that gives me a nice, smooth, clean line. Now, as you do this, you can decide, is the bottom right going to be darker? I think it might be. So what if I continue to use that brush skinny ways and I continue to shush some dark in there? My tub's probably going to be a little darker at the bottom, right? It's going to be in shadow down there. I think the part that's the part that you should remember when you're doing this, it can really look however you want it to look, but you want to get it where it would be naturally shadowed. So up under that roll, it's going to be shadowed. Up under that, the roll of that tub. And then naturally it would be darker down at the bottom. It would be shadowed here underneath. I'm just picking up a little more white and a nice highlight, because if I have shadow on the right, I need highlight on the left. Right? You can't have one without the other. I'm going to step back in front again, sorry. And I need to fix that bottom edge of my tub. I guess that's an important thing to mention, right? I will frequently change my view when I'm painting, right? Get a different look, a different angle, step to the other side of the painting. It's an important thing to do, right? And then if you're putting feet on your tub, like I have feet on my tub, I'm going to go to one of my smaller brushes, and they're going to be, I'm going to paint them white just like I did the tub, knowing that they're going to be lighter on the outside and darker on the inside. So lighter there. And I'm going to start to add a little bit of black and get darker on this back side. Again, feet are optional. But I knew that was something I wanted to do when I first saw this painting. Get those claw feet on there. Just coming back and fixing the edge of the tub where I put those feet on there. It messed up the bottom of my tub. So I was coming back and just cleaning that line up a little bit where my feet came into the tub. There we go. All right. Brush in my water cup. I'm going to take a minute and step away from it and decide if I need to do anything else to play with it. I might fix that line one more time. I kind of want that nice and dark up under there, but I'm going to walk away from it. Ponder it. So I'll give you 3-4 more minutes or so. I feel like I keep thinking it. I need to do it, huh? I need to get a nice dark shadow line up under there. There we go. Okay, and I told everyone I was going rogue, right? So you keep working on your tub. I'm gonna put I'm putting tentacles in there. So I'm gonna go ahead and start to map those out. I need to get at least like 3-4 tentacles happening. So I'm gonna go ahead and paint them in white first. You can use this as a break time, or you can use this to continue to play up there. But I want to get my octopus tentacles up there, so then my bubbles will be in front of the tentacles. It'll give it a little more dimension. Okay. And then I'll be able to put my hair on there, my hair or my towel, whatever we want to call that. And it might block some of the tentacles too, because I want the tentacles to be at the foot part of the tub. So if my tentacles are at the foot part, that towel is going to cover, the towel or the hair is going to cover those tentacles a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and sketch those on there. So you keep doing you. If you need to keep working on your dog, keep working on that. If you need to keep working on your lady or your tub or your duckies, keep working on that. I'm going to map out some octopus tentacles. I'm already in love. Oh, shoot. I'm sure you guys can all attest to this, right? As an artist, sometimes, because you're all artists, because you paint with me, you have these ideas and you're like, that'd be super cool. And then you do it and you're like, oh, bad decision, right? We all have that happen. I'm actually loving this. I got to get a couple more on there. Jeannie, I'm so curious now. I have to either see your tattoos or you have to tell me, because I'm kind of recreating my tattoo right now too. I have a ginormous octopus tattoo that covers my whole back. So I gotta know. I gotta know what you're doing. Yes, I need to see that, Jeannie. You must send that to me. You sh you show me yours, I'll show you mine. Not here in public. We'll private message those later. Okay. So let's keep working on whatever's going on up there. I'm gonna put a couple more tentacles, I think. Okay. I think my tentacles are going to be purple, but I'm going to leave them alone for now. I'll let that base coat of white dry. You like how I said I'm going to leave them alone and then I just keep painting? I really am going to leave them alone here in a second. I want to get just a nice coat of white on them. Because the paint that we're using is student-based acrylic paint, so it's very transparent. So if I'm doing something like this on a bold background, I want to, thank you. I want to make sure I have a nice opaque base for them to work upon. So let's talk about what should we do next. I say let's go ahead and put her hair and or towel on there. Okay, so let's think about what color her hair and or towel is going to be, and let's talk about how I'm going to approach this. I'm going to do a nice big oval shape, and then I'm going to do another oval shape here that's a little circle, I should say. So circle on top of oval. Okay. All right. Jeannie, I saw you send me a message. I will look at that later because I have to use my phone to do that. And then I will send you something later. Okay. So I'm feeling like I might use my medium brush for this. And her hair / towel is gonna sit right down here on her. I might lose a lot of her neck, but that's okay. I'm gonna, I think, I'm trying, you know, I haven't even thought about what color I'm gonna do. I think red. I think red it is for me because her tentacles are gonna be purple. And I am a ginger, so I'm going red. Okay, so I've got that brush, that medium brush. And again, I'm gonna start with an oval. And do you see how I'm filling that in? I'm doing that, that brush stroke that I'm just following it on back around to the middle. It's funny, this is how we would paint flowers. If we were gonna paint like a rose, you go around and you just keep working your way around and around to the middle. Now, I'm gonna do more to this later, but I wanna go ahead and work on that top circle now. That sets right in that oval. Looks like she has a hat. I just gave her a hat. Now, right now, I'm just using one color. I'm just using red. I will move on to maybe a little white, maybe a little bit of black here in a minute. But I want to get a nice base on there first. Okay. So now I'm going to take some more red and I'm going to take a tiny bit of black at the same time. And start to push some of that in. Too much black. Again, this is how we would paint flowers. It's kind of the way we painted the tub, right? Those swishy, circly brush strokes. So I'm darker first. And then I'm going to go in and do the same thing with a little bit of white. I'm not blending it all in together into one color. I'm leaving those brush strokes just kind of live there, which for some of us is a little uncomfortable. We feel the need to work it until it's all one mush of color, but we're not going to do that with this. I feel like I need to round her out a little. Again, we're just doing those little brush strokes and then walking away. Okay, don't blend it to oblivion. Give her that little swirl right there in the middle. Whoop. Okay, so it's nice and dark right now. I'm going to wipe my brush off and take a little bit of light. So a little bit of white. I might even add a tiny bit of yellow in my white. And I'm going to do a nice little highlight along the top. Not too much because it'll all turn pink. Right? We have to do those brush strokes and just walk away and let them be what they're going to be. A little bit of white. I want to accentuate this little whoopie woo here in the middle. This little swirl. This is one of those points where I feel compelled to get close and show you how absolutely messy that is. And messy is okay. But you can see I have all these separate individual colors. I'm going to have to stop right now because if I don't, it's going to turn into all one mess of one color. And that's not what I want. I want those different strands of color in there. So I am undecided on whether or not I'm done with it. But for now, I'm going to pop my brush in my water cup and stop touching it. Because if I keep playing with it, it's going to all turn into one big blob color. I feel like I need a little more highlight up here. I like the shadow that I have here, but I need a little highlight, but I have to let it dry for a little bit. Okay. So it looks like you're all working diligently. So while you're working on that, I'm gonna work on my purple tentacles. So you guys keep playing. But don't forget, there comes a point you have to stop. Okay, stop, let it dry, maybe blow dry it. And you can get back in there and play some more. Oh yeah, purple. Purple. Uh-huh. It's funny, the paint that I use, the Blick Student Acrylic, they sell a purple, a violet. I don't like it near as much as mixing my own. So for me to mix my own purple, I'm mixing a bright red phthalo blue and a little bit of white. And that purple always makes me much happier than the violet from a Blick Acrylic. And I love mixing my own purple because then I can get these really cool different shades. Ooh, fancy. Okay, so we'll take a few more minutes and then we'll be able to put her glass in her hand and we'll fix her hand and then we'll work on bubbles. So I wanna paint these tentacles real quick. So as soon as my tentacles are done, we will move on to glass in the hand. So how about 5 minutes? 8:35. I should be done with tentacles. Oh, for those of you curious about what we're painting next week, we are going to go with a farm animal theme next week because I know a lot of us are missing out on the fair this year. So we're gonna, I can't find an inspiration picture I like. So I think I'm gonna paint one, but my feeling is a fence with whatever animals make you happy. So it'll be like a barn fence. And then we'll have, I'll show you how to paint a pig and a chicken and a cow and I don't know what else. A giraffe. That would be funny, Jeannie, wouldn't it? We can do that. We could put a giraffe in your farm field. There are no rules in your farm field, right? There are no rules in my farm field. Okay, couple more minutes and we'll move on. Couple more minutes, we'll move on and put the glass in her hand. So decide what's in your glass. Is it a wine glass? Is it a coffee cup? Is it a beer stein? I don't know. It's up to you. Okay, one more tentacle. Ooh, champagne with glitter. I like that. That's a good idea. That's a super fancy idea. Okay. Tentacles done. 8:35. Look at that. Shabam. Okay. So let's see. Oh, a book in the hand. Let me think about that. Let me see if I can do a sketch real quick. It's a book in the hand. I had to go grab a book to try to figure out what that would look like. And I just grabbed one. It happens to be Field Guide to Trees of North America. It's evidently not a very good read because it's still pretty stiff. Okay, so what would that look like if that were in her hand? So you would still see that bottom part of her hand. Thinking this through, right? So what is that? What is that shape? That's a real angle shape right there, and you see the back part of the page. Okay. Let me do some more sketching here real quick. I'm actually using this as my mirror. Stand by. Okay. Right, this is really rough, but this is kind of what I'm feeling if you're thinking book in the hand. So you're still gonna have the wrist up, right? And you're gonna have your thumb, because the thumb is gonna have to hold the pages open. I have no eraser. What kind of artist has no eraser? There we go. These pages are gonna be a lot shorter. You have the back part of the hand here, right? This is the center fold of the book. And then you're going to see these pages out here. So they're going to have writing on them. They're going to have some kind of smut writing on them, right? Your 50 Shades. And these are going to be pages because you're just seeing the edges of those. Now it was kind of a lot. I just kind of flew through that. But that's kind of how I'm feeling. I think if I hold my hand up there, that's what we're seeing, right? Seeing this edge, we're seeing the back of my hand, my thumb, those back pages. I got you. You're welcome. It's kind of how I'm feeling. You could turn it like this, so you're just seeing the back half of the book. Up to you. So that's an idea. Okay. So I'm going to put a glass in there. I'm going to put a glass of stuff in there, and then I'm going to put her hand back over top of it. That's why I didn't fret too much with her hand in the beginning, because I knew I was going to have to paint it over the glass again anyway. So let's take a look. I'm going to get real close, because the thing that makes this look like a glass is it has that real gentle, the stuff in the glass, it's that real gentle curve, like we had the real gentle curve here on the tub, right? So you'll have your glass shape. The top of that glass is that gentle curve. So a gentle smile and a gentle frown. Let me show you what I mean. Find your small brush, find your pointy brush, and I'm going to just sketch that out in white first. Finding clean white is getting to be a challenge, right? Okay, a little bit of white. And my sides, I'm going to have my glass sides. Okay. Sitting down in her hand. The top of my glass has this real gentle smile, just like the edge of your tub. That's what helps it look round. Okay. The back of it is a real gentle frown to match that gentle smile. Now, that's all I'm going to do with solid paint, solid white paint. The rest of it, I'm going to use what tiny bit I have there on the edge of my brush and kind of dry brush it. Get close here. I don't have hardly anything on my brush. Just doing a little dry brushing, so I still have those nice solid lines, but very dry brushing. Okay. Now I need to put something in my glass. I do believe she is a drink the blood of her enemies kind of gal. So I do believe she's getting some dark red wine in her glass. Things got dark tonight. Sorry. Okay. When you put something in that glass, you have to follow that same curve. Okay. So I'm following that same curve. And then the back of it as well. Fill it in. Not paying too much attention down here because I know I'm going to put her hand back over it. Okay. Now I'm going to take a little bit of white, just a little bit. She back in frame here. A little bit of white right along the front edge of that liquid That'll help accentuate the front edge of that, that glass a little. There we go. Okay. Work a little more on it, a little more detail there. This is always the part where I struggle. I don't want to get too much detail in there, because if you get too much detail in one little spot, then it kind of throws off the whole painting, because the whole painting is abstract. So I don't want to get too detailed here, but I want to do enough so we know what it is. It's the struggle. Okay. Ooh, guys, we're getting down to it. I haven't mentioned it yet, but just like every other class, when there comes a point that we call this done, I will give you 1 hour to private message the studio a picture of you with your painting. At the end of that hour, I'll collect all the pictures that I have and I'll collage them together and put them up on Facebook. That's always a lot of fun to see everybody's different take on this. And I'm super excited to see everybody's take on this tonight. I think this is a fun. I think this is probably the most different we've all gone, I feel. We're all putting our own spin on it tonight. I'm excited to see what happens. Okay. So give that glass a little minute to dry. Yeah, let's give that glass a minute to dry. I'm going to use my little brush. I'm going to try to mix that flesh color again, because I need to fix her hand and make sure it looks like it is over top of that glass. So again, my flesh color was that tiniest bit of that burnt sienna, and a lot of white. The trick is going to be getting it to match what we had before, right? I'm going to take this opportunity real quick too to fix her shoulders. They got a little wonky when I put my tentacles on there. Take a minute to fix that. Go. And I'm going to go back to the brush that I used for the hair. I'm just doing little fixes, little bits of things I wanted to do. Take a little bit of white. Where this all started to get muddy, it's dry now. I can do some little highlights up here. Okay, my painter peeps. The last thing we're gonna do is bubbles. So how about let's take 10 minutes, because we want to make sure everything's good and dry. So now it's 8:49. How about 8:59? We'll come back and do bubbles because I want to make sure everything's dry. I want to keep those bubbles pretty white. So 8:59, we'll come back to do bubbles. That'll give you time if you need to visit the blow dryer, whatever details you're going to do here. Because if you're, regardless of what you're doing, you're going to want to make sure and have a few bubbles on top of your stuff. For example, this, the original, there's a bubble that's kind of on top of her hair right there, her hair towel, whatever that is. That's what's going to give this dimension. So I'm going to want to make sure and have some bubbles that overlap my tentacles, that kind of come on top of my tentacles a little. I'm going to want to put bubbles here all along the top of the tub. So I need to make sure all of that's dry. So 8:59, we'll come back together. We'll put bubbles on there and finish it out. So that'll give me time to put some suckers on my tentacles and get to the blow dryer, okay? I just looked over and I see somebody is frantically blow drying. It's okay, we've got time, we've got a little time. And she can't hear us because she has her blow dryer running. Emily, I think it's your mom. Don't tell her we were talking about her. Okay, let's see. We all appear to be grown-ups here tonight, right? I believe we're all grown-ups here this evening. I'm not going to say it. I was going to say something. Every time I say tentacles, you know what I'm trying really hard not to say. All my grown-ups there know. And I haven't said it yet. I'm going to give myself a little pat on the back for that. Most awkward thing ever. Yes. Yes, Emily's husband. Yes. Little pat on the back, but do you know how hard it is when you have when you have a room full of children and you're teaching an octopus painting and you let that slip out? Really uncomfortable. There we go. That's the idea of little suckers on there. Again, 8:59. We'll move on. So that gives you time to, I was going to say refill your beverage. That gives you time to refill your beverage. And make sure your painting's dry. You guys, thank you so much for painting with me tonight. This painting makes my heart super happy. Oh, I love that, Kelsey. This is your break. You know, it's my break too. I'm not a twin. Well, I shouldn't say I'm not a twin mom. I'm a twin stepmom. But my girls are all grown now, so we're past that whole crazy twin, double trouble kind of thing, right? It's double trouble at 25 years old, which is a whole different kind of beast. Talk to me when you get to that point. We'll commiserate together. But this is my me time to not think about what's going on out in the world. Because those of you, I know a lot of you have heard me say before, my day job. So I own the studio in my spare time. I own the studio because it's fun and Marysville needed it. So I own the studio on my own full time, but I also have a full-time day job at the Union County Health Department. So it's been a little stressful the last few months. So this is my time, my me time, to not think about that. So I appreciate y'all being here with me. Um, 5 more minutes. Hey. Wake up. All right. Oh my God, Kelsey, yours are 2.5. It's so much freaking fun, and it's so exhausting all the time. I don't want to scare you. People they warned us about terrible twos. And I know you said yours are 2.5. Threes were the worst. Threes were absolutely awful. I'm sorry, I'm just preparing you for it. But once we got through threes, they were beautiful little angels. It's the weirdest thing ever. Twos were rough. We got to threes and we went, oh, somebody's gonna die. It's not gonna. Then Maggie, they got to 4, and they were the kids that I'm not even gonna say it. Once we got to 4. So hang in there. You're in the middle of it right now. Hang in there. You got this. You enjoy your mama time right now. Okay, 3 more minutes. 3 more minutes, and then we're gonna work on bubbles. Bubbles. Tiny bubbles. Oh, it's the singing portion of the evening. Tiny bubbles. Oh, Jessica and Kelly, I'm glad to oblige. I'm glad you're having a good night. So 2 minutes, and we're going to put some bubbles on there. I need to get some clean white paint because I have boogered it all up. So I'm going to get that. You know what? Let's take this opportunity. And if we need to wait a few more minutes for everybody to get there, we can. Let's take this opportunity to get just a tiny bit of clean white paint. You're not going to need much. Tiny bit of clean white paint. I'm going to use my medium filbert brush. I want to make sure I have clean water and that filbert brush is clean. I think it's okay if so bubbles are a reflection of what's going on in reality, right? They're a reflection. So, excuse me, if I were to pick up a little bit of purple from the tentacles, that would be okay. My fear is it's not going to take much for those bubbles to get really messy looking. So let's take this opportunity to get a tiny bit of clean white paint, a clean medium brush, clean water, dry painting, okay? So let's take another few minutes. Clean white brush, it's that part of the night. Clean medium brush, clean white paint, clean water, dry canvas, okay? Let me do those things and then we'll be back and we'll finish up. And I'm going to take my husband's book and go put it back where I found it. right, little clean white paint. I'll clean my brushes. Okay, one more minute. One more minute. Clean brushes, clean white paint, dry canvas, clean water. And remember, we don't need much white paint, just a little bit. Okay. Let's do this, shall we? So remember, bubbles are all different sizes. I'm gonna have you let your OCD go. Well, hello, Anita. I didn't see you. Did you join us late? I'm looking for you in my screens. Well, I'm glad you're here, honey. I'm recording it and we'll get it posted up tonight or tomorrow, depending on how my internet speed goes. Okay. And you can see I went rogue with mine tonight, Anita. I decided to make her a sea witch. She is Ursula. All right. So I have my medium brush, nice and clean. I'm going to take just the tiny, tiny, tiniest bit of paint. Tiny, tiny, tiny. And this is the point where, to make sure it's tiny, because bubbles are kind of see-through, I'm actually going to wipe it off on my hand. And I always do this because I know it'll wash off my skin. And because it's white paint, my paper towel is white. It's really hard for me to tell what's going on. But if I do it on my hand, I know what I'm working with. So I'm wiping it off. So there is not much paint on there at all. And that's going to help these be kind of see-through and transparent. So I'm going to do one up here so you can see it. Roundy, 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 round. Zoop, just like that. Another one here, roundy, roundy, round. They're very dry brushy. Let me show you the whole process, start to finish. So I have a bubble on there. Stand by. Then I'm going to take my pointy brush with solid white and my painting, because my light is coming from this side, right? That's the lighter side of her hair. With my pointy brush, I'm going to go along the top and left, flirp, and accentuate those bubbles, top and left, flirp, just like that. Okay. Let's do some more. Oh, very dry brushy. Oh, I need some down here in this tub. And along the top left of all of those. Oh, if you were going to glitter the bubbles, if that's something that you were thinking about doing, don't do the little top left blurb yet. Wait and do that at the very end, because that's where the glitter will stick. Okay. Oh, this is fun. Bubbles are fun. Little bubbles, big bubbles. Over here. Oh, bubble here. Remember, we said they have to overlap, right? That's what makes it look real. So don't be afraid to get it on something. So I feel like she needs one right here in her hair. I feel like there needs to be one right down here in this tentacle. A couple smaller bubbles, I think. I'm going to go to my small brush. So I don't have all big bubbles. Some little ones. What I'm thinking here, right at the edge of the tub, along her back, I think I'm going to let those dry and then do another layer of bubbles that kind of overlap those. That might be fun. So my OCD friends amongst us, make sure you're stepping away from your painting and you're trying to stay random. This is hard for some of us because we want everything to be perfectly placed. It's not how bubbles work, okay? So step away and make sure you're trying to get them random and that they're not in a pattern. And I know that can be a challenge, but you can do it. I have faith in you. Oh, fun, fun. I'm going to get close so you can see what I'm doing. But I have this layer of bubbles right here along the tub. I think I'm going to come in here and do, what if I do a bubble here to overlap these two? Smaller bubble right there. One there. That's going to add a little more dimension to my painting if I do some overlappy bubbles. That's fun. So I do believe I'm going to call that done because I could really go over the top with too many bubbles. So I'm not going to. I am going to fix one thing though. I want to make her hand a little bit, her fingers a little bit longer than the glass, because in reality, that's what it would be, right? If she were holding a glass, her fingers would stick out past the glass a little, and that's not what I have going on. She's holding the glass like this, and that's kind of weird. So I'm going to fix that real quick. While I'm fixing that, I'm going to go on and give you the opportunity to unmute yourself. I'm going to work for a few more minutes on this. So it's 9:08, let's say 10 or 9:10. We'll call this done. Math, I had to add 2 minutes. That was a struggle. So 9:10, we'll call this painting finished. So at 10:10, by 10:10, please private message a picture of, I love to see your faces when you send me selfies of you with your paintings. Send that to Crooked Door Studio at 10:10. Whatever I have, whatever you've sent, I will collage those all together and put them out on social media, on Crooked Door Studio and Crooked Door Studio Facebook and Instagram. Let's see. What else do we need to talk about real quick before I unmute you? I will hopefully have the recording for tonight posted either later tonight or tomorrow. Again, it all depends on my internet speed. I will have the painting for next week posted by tomorrow night. Again, next Saturday at 7 o'clock, and it will be farm animals. So tell your friends, if you have friends that want to learn how to paint, ooh, maybe a goat. I don't know, a giraffe might creep in there. We'll see. Because I'm not judging your farm. That's what I know. So thank you all for joining me tonight. Again, 9:10, we're calling this done. I'm going to continue to play. I'm going to go in and give you the opportunity to unmute. Okay, there we go. Ooh, blow her back up there. Oh, what a good night, guys. So good.
Thank you, Shauna.
You're welcome. Thanks for coming and playing tonight, honey.
Do you think you could do a 10-minute technique Tuesday on how to do a rose?
You know, it's funny you mentioned that because somebody else asked if she should join tonight, if that would help her learn how to paint a rose. And I wasn't quite sure what she was talking about. And I thought, oh, the hair kind of, right? Kind of looks like it could be a rose. So yes, I've not done a 10-minute technique Tuesday in quite some time, but you're welcome, Jessica and Kelly. But I think that's a really good idea. I need to pick those back up again. So I will add that to my list. Okay. There we go. I'm going to call that done. That's going to go in my bathroom. You're welcome, Mandy. You're welcome, Mandy and Dad. So don't forget, when you're done, don't forget to sign your painting. Artists usually sign bottom left or bottom right. The stretched canvases, you can sign on the side if you want. You can sign on the back if you want. Bye, Anita. You can sign on the back if you want, but never here. Always here on the edge if you're going to sign on the back. Okay. So let's go ahead and sign this and call it done. I never sign mine until they're done. And then once I sign them, they're done. Right? I'm not allowed to touch it anymore. Done. Shabam. SS. Blah, 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 blah. 20. You're welcome, Cindy. Thanks for joining us, honey. All right. Well, everybody's super quiet tonight. I think I'm gonna go ahead. And, I just saw you like unmute yourself.
I wanted to show you how it turned out.
Oh my God. That's adorable.
Thank you.
Oh, I love it. That is so stinking cute.
So thank you.
You're welcome, honey. I'll see you soon.
See you soon.
All righty. Well, I think I'm going to go ahead and end, unless anybody has something they want to say, because it looks like pictures are starting to come in. So I'm going to go ahead and log off. Thank you all so much for joining me tonight. This was fun. That's going to look killer in my bathroom. And Marie, you'll notice I did not put glitter on it because it's in my house and my husband would not enjoy that. So no glitter. I say that as if he rules what I do, right? He doesn't. But I'm really happy with it the way it is, so I'm going to stop. If I were going to glitter, I think I would use white glitter, and I don't have white. I just have the multicolor from the bucket at the studio. So who knows yet? I may glitter those bubbles real quick. We'll see. Anyway, so I'm going to go ahead and log off. Thank you all for joining me tonight. This was fantastic. I love you all. I really do. You guys are what make this all worth it. So please be sure to send me ideas. Send me funny pictures. Thank you, Jessica. I appreciate that. Jessica and Kelly, They send me funny pictures all the time. You do too, don't you, Jessica? Where's Sparty?
He's sleeping. He goes to sleep at 8 o'clock.
Oh, it's past his bedtime.
It's past his bedtime, yes.
Aww.
But we actually, my husband had an interesting idea that I'll have to message you about relating to Sparty and painting.
Yes.
So,
yes, I'm in.
So we'll have to talk.
Okay, you message
Okay.
me. So
Okay, sounds good.
Sparty doesn't go to bed when the sun goes down, right?
No, he has to sleep at least 10, 11 hours. So we usually do 8 o'clock just to kind of help. But
do you put a cover over him?
Yes, we do. Yeah.
Got it. Okay. So we have chickens at different stages. We have the old girls and George, and then we have some that are, I call them teenagers because they're not quite full grown yet, but they're starting to act like crazy teenagers. And then I have babies. So I have these 3 different stages of chickens. And it's funny, the old girls and George, when it gets to be about 8:30, there's like the hint of sundown. They are in and roosted up and ready for bed. The teenagers are still like running all over the place, trying to knock the girls off the roosts. It's all kinds of chaos. And then the babies are just like huddled up in the corner like, I don't know what's happening. I don't know what to do. So I'm really enjoying them. I never thought I'd be a bird mom. So from one bird mom to another.
Oh, yay. That's great. They sound adorable. I love following them on Facebook too.
Oh, they make my heart so happy. And then now that we have the memorial garden, which makes me happy because, again, we have some old girls. I don't know how old our oldest 11 are. So that's going to happen. So we have a place to put them now when it's time. So makes me happy. All right. Well, message me your idea, okay? All right.
Okay,
I'm going to go ahead. All right. I'm going to go ahead and log off. It was so good to see everyone tonight. I'll see y'all soon. Okay, bye.